I'm Mathieu from Nudevox, and we are at the 4th day of the Essen Spiel messe with Victor, the publisher of Eggertspiele. Hi, Victor.
Hi.
So, we are very tired, all of us, because it's the last day and the afternoon of the last day, but you're going to give us an overview of Jorvik that you published.
Yes, it's a kind of new edition of a game we already did in 2010, which was called Speicherstadt. I don't think there was a French edition. I'm not sure, but I don't think there was one. We had a lot of partners worldwide who said it's a great game, but the theme Speicherstadt, which is in Hamburg, is a location, and it didn't work very well with the most people and the most partners. So they asked us if maybe we could do a re-theme in some way, and that's what we did with Jorvik. And it's a game by Stefan Feld, which won, of course, in 2010, one of the earlier ones. But for the type of game Stefan Feld does, this is a pretty simple game, actually, because it's one mechanic, and around this, everything is others built. Yeah.
So it's a streamlined Stefan Feld game for 2 to 5 players, ages 10 and up. It's written on the box that I can see from here, and it plays in around an hour, right?
Yes, exactly. What we also did in here is for Speicherstadt there was an expansion coming out in 2012, I think, and we put it included the expansion as well in here, so you can play the basic game but have also the cards of the expansion.
Okay, and what are we? So we are Vikings, probably. What do we do?
Yeah, we are Jarls, you could call us, so aristocrats of the Vikings. We have some meeples, some workers, minions, whatever you want to call them. And with them, we try to acquire cards, which Jorvik is a city in England. It's today York. People maybe know. It was for a short time span. It was occupied by the Vikings, and in this period, the city became It grew, and it was a center of trade, etc. This is a little the setting in which we are, and as a player, we try to acquire cards from a display, which is filled up every round, and the game ends when the whole deck is through. The mechanic is very easy. Every player has 3 Viking in his color. When it's your turn, you place one of the Vikings and one of the lanes of the cards. For example, I go here. So I'm just filling this up because for a 3-player game it would be like this. The next player might go there. Then the player might say, okay, I want to go to this card too. Then he has to place it behind the one that's already there. And this way, players just place their meeples on the board. This way, they say, hey, I'm interested in the card. So these 2 are interested in the card, but they also set the price for the card. Because now it starts that the first card can be acquired by the red one because he's the first there, but he has to pay 2 coins to do it. He can say, yeah, I want the card, then he places it to them at his board. Or he says, no, I don't want it, takes it back. Nothing happens for him, but the next player can take the card for just 1 coin because he's the only one left in the end. So it's kind of bidding, but a different way, because you can set the price, and if somebody, if you see, okay, it's a very popular card and I want it, you can try to make it more expensive for the player in front. And if he has just the blue, for example, now only 3 coins, he knows, okay, he can get the card. And this way you have some, in a very simple mechanic, very nice decisions how to acquire the cards. And the cards basically give victory points for goods that come in the game. There will be like ships coming in at some point where you place cubes on them, which are like goods, which you can bring to your craftsman, for example, who give you points at the end if you have them in front of you, of course. Or you can get more coins, and this way you build a little cycle in which you just try to score the most points at the end of the game with your cards.
So, for example, with this weaver, we need a pelt, thread, a coal, and amber probably, and giving her all of that gives us 11 victory points. Am I right?
Yeah, but we really need all of them. So if you acquire this card and it's in front of you and you only get 3, and you don't get the last one at the end of game, you have no cards, no points at all. So you really have to see that you get the ship within, and then there's of course, the ship is very popular for maybe, and maybe you see, okay, this card will not be that popular. I go for another strategy. There are a few other cards who generate points in a different way, so you can try to choose a direction you want to go, and when the deck is through, you can see if you succeeded or not. Right?
So when we take the ship, we take everything that's on it, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there will be exactly 3 cubes placed here, just drawn randomly from the back here. They put on there, and then this is what the ship has loaded. So, for example, for the... Where is it now gone? There it is. For example, for this one, there are really 3 exactly in the colors I need, except this one. So this would be a great ship for this one, of course. On the other hand, I need money to get new cards. Money, you only get 1 coin at the end of each round, and you start with 5. So you need some kind of... engine, you could call it, like for example these merchants. There you can, when you get one of these, you can sell it for a coin, and then you can try to go for victory points, but you also need the coins to do it. So you have to figure out the cards should match well. That's what we mean.
So what are those buildings here? Are they buildings that we build with the cards?
No, they're just the spaces for these cards. It's in the basic game, only this half is playing a role, so that is like Speicherstadt. This part is coming in when you play with the expansion. There again, there's the same amount of cards in addition, and there also the same amount of these cards are placed here again, which can be also acquired, but with a different mechanic. You just would, if there was a card, you would just put one of your units on it and place it over here, and you would be the only one who could get this card. So it's a different mechanic, and this way, because he's the only one who can get this card, he can take out cards for other players. But now, if he's the first there, of course here also cards are placed. The next one who would do this would go behind this one, and the next one this one. And after these cards are gone through, you look for these cards, and now it's the same mechanic in this way, that he has to pay 3 coins because there are 3 cards lying there. So, and if he doesn't take it, the next one could take this one for 2, and so on. So if the last here, it's cheap, but maybe somebody else took the card you actually want. So again, very simple mechanic that adds very nice to this, and some new possibilities coming in through this. Yeah, exactly.
I also see that we can trade in resources, so 3 of any resource for 1 resource, and 2 resources for 1 gold, right?
Exactly. So the game, each round is there are different phases. First, you always fill up from the stack new cards. Then each player places their meeples around until everybody has placed their meeples. Then the buying phase, where you go through the cards and say, yeah, I want it, or I don't want it. And when somebody buys the card, he takes it, places it above his player board, and all others who are still in the line just go out, nothing else happens. And after all cards are gone, either because they are acquired or nobody wanted them, then there is a kind of loading phase where you have to, if you got some ships, you have to distribute them to your cards. So you can't usually store the things you get. You have to use them right away. So either you place them on these cards, then they have to stay there, or you and you can't use them in any other way, or you sell them if you have a merchant at that moment, or you use these trading possibilities to use them up, because if you don't have anything to do with them, then they are gone, because you can store a maximum of 1 cube on your board. So that's why these possibilities are there as well.
So, why did you choose the thematic of York and the Vikings rather than, I don't know, any other theme?
Um, I think it's not just because Vikings are on vogue at the moment. It's I felt that this because the Speicherstadt is also a little trading game, you could say, because there's of course this mechanic with the thing and the traders, and it was about the everything that the goods that came into the harbor in Hamburg, and you had to buy these things and sell them to them. It was the mechanic and everything. It's all the same, but we were looking for a more appealing theme for our partners, and a lot of partners said, yeah, Vikings would work for us perfectly. So this was the way we went, and I found it just interesting that Jorvik was for very short times when it was like 20, 30 years or so that they was under the Vikings, but in this time Jorvik became a trading center, and so that seemed a little bit like a good match for what it was before. Of course, a lot of people associate with Vikings something else, but they didn't just plunder and everything. They also had a very nice culture. Well, nice. Nice is maybe not the right word, but a culture where everything could flourish, where they had craftsmen and everything. So just like any other culture. So you have the pillaging a little bit in it. You have to have soldiers to defend your city sometimes, because there are cards in there in the stake like 4 where the Picts attack the town because they want to get things, and of course again, and you have to have soldiers to defend it, and the more you have, then you get victory points. If you don't contribute to the defending of the city, then you lose points, and it's another way to score, of course, and also there are some cards like these pillage cards, which just are victory points basically. So you don't really fight, but it's still in there, a little in the theme.
Okay, well, thank you, Victor, for that overview of Jorvik, and see you on Ludvox. Bye bye.
Taram,